What's up, guys? It's John Dominique, the Soul Proponent. Today, I want to talk about the meaning of Jesus on the conventional level and kind of compare it and contrast it to the meaning on the path to the soul. Most traditional Christian religions believe Jesus was the Messiah, a figure who came to save us from our sins. And I don't think that's the truth, because the truth sets us free. And most of the times people are trying to attach themselves to this belief that Jesus came to die for us. So how can we be attached to belief in Jesus and be free at the same time? The truth is that we can't. What I'm going to propose is that this story of Jesus is actually a parable about the soul, which is born pure of a virgin, miraculous, buried and rejected, yet lives forever. We think Jesus can save us, but if you question and look at things deeply, you'll see that we're hanging on to this belief in Jesus in order to avoid the resulting emptiness that would result if we were to let go of our beliefs in Jesus. There's worthlessness, there's feelings of deficiency. When we face that emptiness, I want to propose that emptiness is the beginning of our awareness of the human soul. People will feel terrorized about this. They'll feel unbalanced. They'll feel disoriented because without their beliefs in Jesus, there's nothing to hang on to. There's nothing to give us support or foundation. On the path to the soul, the need to hang on to these ideas and beliefs, for example, the belief that Jesus will save us, can be related to the transitional objects that babies use when they're young to get by and to feel safe and comfortable. Blankets, teddy bears, sucking their thumbs, yada yada. As we get older, we just trade these transitional objects instead of physical objects. We trade them for mental objects. So we're hanging on to this belief that Jesus will save us, to feel comfortable and manageable and feel safe and secure. So it's just trading one transitional object for another. That's attachment. We're walking around with these objects that we need to feel safe and comfortable and manageable. And there's a lot more of these objects. The identity is one of these objects. Morals, values, reason, the thinking process. There's a lot of them. But for the sake of this conversation, I'm just going to talk about the main one, belief in Jesus. We think this will save us, but the truth is it's a block, it's a barrier to the soul, which is the truth of our identity. And the ironic thing is that holding on to these transitional objects and belief in this idea that Jesus will save us, we think we can get some type of value from this. Supposedly, we'll go to heaven, we'll get God, we'll get something good. So we're hanging on to what's good and avoiding what's bad, basically. Just the pleasure principle. And it's attachment. The value we think we can get from believing in Jesus doesn't last. And so that's how we can tell that it's not a true thing. It's not the real version. It's a false version, because it depends on how intensely, on how well, on how good of a Christian we can be, on how well we can live up to the tenets, to the rules, to the guidelines of being a good Christian. And on the contrary, the soul it is value in itself. It's unconditional value, self-existing worth, the source of our self-worth. It doesn't depend on anything. It's already there. We are one with this. It's not like there's something you have to try to reach and grab to get it, because the reaching and grabbing will automatically assumes that you're not it, that you don't have it. So on an unconscious level, as soon as we try to reach and grab for something, we're saying we don't have what we're trying to reach and grab for. So there's a stuckness in duality that humanity suffers from. And the soul is a healing because it's a miracle of oneness. It's a unity, a unification of who and what we are, and a resolving of these splits. So there's no dichotomy between subject and object. It's not something we need to reach and grab for. We are it. We're one with it. So if we're reaching for value, trying to reach for belief in Jesus because we think that's going to bring us some type of value when we die, we're stuck in duality. And that's one of the tragedies of mankind. Judgment, good and bad, right, wrong, weak, strong. There's always these dichotomies, and it creates suffering on an unconscious level. We don't know how to get out of this. We think this is it and this is the end of it, and that's the way things are. But the truth is that the path never ends. If we think we know the answers already, if we already think we know God is going to save us, Jesus is going to save us, that's not it. Because we've closed ourselves off to the truth that we don't know. And people don't want to admit that they don't know. People want to perpetuate the status quo. They want to feel safe, comfortable. They want to feel that this is what everyone else is doing, so I need to do it too, because if I don't, it'll threaten my survival. So it's a tool and a method for survival, and also a way to try to control people believing in Jesus. It's like group mentality, the collective. If we all believe the same thing, and especially like back in the Roman days, it's like a more of a unification of an empire. So it's like promoting the business. It's good for unifying a nation, right? It's good for commerce. It's good for civilization, for society to run smoothly. It's good for all, everyone to believe in the same thing. So that's kind of what's built into this religion of Christianity, that we all have to believe the same thing, and that's the best way to do it. And maybe it is on a practical level, but the truth doesn't care about what's practical. The truth is the truth, regardless of what we think would be best, what we think would be ideal. Yeah, it'd be great if this truth of believing in Jesus would save us, but the truth is it doesn't. We're hanging on, waiting into the future until we're dead to experience heaven, when heaven is right here and now. It's meant for people who are alive. It's not meant to be wait until you're dead to experience heaven. That's a tragedy. So this belief in Jesus, the meaning of it is not what it says on a conventional level, that Jesus is going to come save us because we're sinners. A lot of times we think we're sinful, and then we're stuck with that being sinful. There's no way out of it. That's the end of the story. I'm going to propose that being sinful is true. While it's true, it's not the entire truth. It's just a small piece of us. It doesn't make up the majority of our character. It doesn't define us. What defines us is the soul, and the soul is infinite and eternal. It's self-existing worth, self-existing value. This is a missing ingredient throughout history. You can see how much damage it causes when we don't know our own value and our own worth. So the story of Jesus is just really a misunderstanding, the traditional version. We think it's about a man coming to save us. It's about the soul. The soul is born pure of a virgin, because we have to sacrifice everything we're trying to hang on to. We have to purify our hearts. When John the Baptist says, clear the straight path, make a way for the Lord, this is about emptying our hearts, divesting the thought processes, our minds, letting go of our hopes, dreams, and desires, And we have to see how much we've invested in building up, for instance, this identity of who we think we are, how much we've invested in this idea of who we want to be, who we want to become, where we want to go when we die, blah, blah, blah. We've got one thing after another. So we have to let go of all that. So the purity, being born pure of a virgin, means that's our own sacrifice that we have to purge ourselves, basically, our hearts and our minds, and come to terms with the resulting emptiness. And that's an ongoing process. It happens continuously. It's not like you can stop. You have to keep going. If we're looking for the results for this, it's not going to work. You have to your heart has to be pure to be able to accept the emptiness and the stillness and the silence without trying to do anything about it. We can't trick the universe. We can't fool the truth. And it's a long, arduous process. It's difficult. The miracles, as I said before, is the healing. Understanding our own self-worth. Understanding our own underlying inherent value. Feeling the unification of oneness. Feeling whole. Feeling complete. Feeling clarity. Feeling at peace. Feeling at ease. The healing of the splits, of the dualities. All these are types of miracles that we experience on the path of the soul. The understanding of our own divinity, touching the part of us that we left behind in childhood. The burial and the rejection is like, people, once they learn about this, they'd rather avoid it. They'd rather continue to believe in Jesus because that's all they know. They don't know what else to believe. They don't know what else to do. They don't want to admit that they don't know the path. They don't know the way. They don't know anything. If they were to let go, they wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't be able to survive. Their identity would die. So it's a matter of survival. So they have to bury and reject this part of themselves in the unconscious. And in the long run, it creates more suffering than it resolves. So this traditional belief in Jesus doesn't work, and we know it doesn't work, but no one else knows what else to do. Everyone else, they feel too much peer pressure to continue to believe in the same way everyone else does, because it's a matter of survival. So the burial and the rejection, we turn our backs on this path when it gets difficult. We don't want to make the sacrifices. We don't want to pay the price. We don't want to pay the cost. Yet the soul lives forever. The soul is us. This is our identity. This is who we are. It's very important that we understand that the story of Jesus is a parable about the soul. It's not a literal interpretation. People want to take it and make it into something that will benefit them, that will benefit society, and that's good. That's normal. I'm not here to say that that's a bad thing, that the traditional Christianity, the way that traditional Christians believe, is wrong. I'm just saying it's one way to believe and one way to see things. The truth has multiple angles, many ways to see things. And if we think we know the one and only way, then we're dead. We're stuck right there and there. We're fixated. We can't move. But the truth is continuously ongoing, looking deeper and deeper, forever finding more and more truth, more wider interpretations, wider perspectives. It's a building, an accumulation, a cumulative effect. It's ongoing. We don't quit and say this is the end. Believe in Jesus and that's it. The truth continues to go on. We are one with the truth. We are this truth. Our lives are evidence of this truth that I'm talking about. John Dominique, the Soul Proponent.